Lean in dramatically more to things that are positive. Your grandfather, podcasts, lean into positivity. Then, eyes wide open on, is this delusional and lacks practicality? Like, if I just dream it, it will happen. No, lean in, cut out. Literally, when this podcast is over, step back, audit your entire life from the people you spend time with, your family, your friends. Look at every person you follow. Are they triggering your insecurities for their own self-interest? Or are they trying to put love into it so that you go on and do your thing? Watch, look for it. But whatever you do, cut out 1 hour of negativity, add 1 hour of positivity. If you're listening right now and you're like, social's such a drag, it's because you're in a drag mindset and the algos and the people you follow are following you. You know what my social looks like? Sunshine. I'm being dead serious. You know what my algos look like? Sunshine. In the world of the momentum of darkness right now, sunshine. You know why? I choose to fight for positivity, but I refuse to not be grounded in practicality, which is why I've always thrown curveballs. 8th place trophies lead to entitlement and fear of losing, and it up kids. So it's kind of that juxtaposition. Practical positivity is something everyone needs to add more.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because as a young entrepreneur, I struggled to keep my business going. I had no friends, I had no mentors, I had no role models. And the thing that saved me was learning from the success stories of famous entrepreneurs. And in their stories, I got motivation, and I also got strategies for what I could do to grow my business and not stay stuck. And I still need their stories for motivation today. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is market on social media.
I want to ask you if you were to dispense advice now on the NFT, ChatGPT, metaverse, this kind of space of frontier technology, and you're a small business owner. What are the smart moves right now in these spaces? Is it smart to move in these spaces just yet?
As an SMB, probably not, other than education. Mm-hmm. You have to be very thoughtful with your monies when you're an SMB. And so first of all, it goes back to the first part of the conversation. What every small business on earth, from every corner of the earth, needs to figure out is a very smart, organic social media strategy. It is disproportionately the biggest impact on their bottom line when it comes to at least marketing and demand creation. As far as frontier tech, it's good to keep an eye on it. It's good to be ready. It's good to flirt with it. Education is very powerful, so I think people should know about it. But I think frontier tech is something that is incredibly high risk. More importantly, it's never at the scale that people want it to be, but it's important to pay attention and get your hands dirty in it so you are prepared.
Rule number 3, be obsessed with PAC.
Everybody in our company is obsessed with PAC, platforms and culture. What does that mean? It means that every single person in our agency has to know what every platform is doing every day. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of people every day obsessed about every single thing every platform is doing at the moment, and then an entire different group, yet one and the same sometimes if they have enough talent, that's paying attention to culture. Which rappers, which athletes, which soda, which fashion brand, which everything. What is happening in culture? And not just youth culture. What are moms in Indonesia care about? What are people in Afghanistan consuming? Like literally global information on both platform and culture. And once that is your obsession and your ideas come from the framework of PAC, your ideas will do better. You will get more quant and qual feedback from that, and that will create a collective wisdom of what you should be doing or what is touching the hearts and the minds. Because the only way someone does something, votes for someone, buys something, goes somewhere, is when that thing hits someone's relevance inside of them and led them to consider something. Marketing hasn't changed in a long time. The mediums and the creative strategies change. And the industry is holding on to yesterday for dear life. And I am intrigued by tomorrow. I'm intrigued by tomorrow. This industry is obsessed with yesterday, but I and my companies, we dominate today. Tomorrow's interesting and we'll keep an eye on it because it's coming. Yesterday is a nice romantic story, but it's the easiest waste of money of all time. It's today that we focus on, and I think that's what everybody should be focusing on.
Rule number 4 is learn to deal with criticism.
There was a kid who wrote a Medium piece about me being the face of hustle porn, which to this day lingers. And it was a Medium article. I was on a plane, I landed, and it was just all this chaos. And there was a lot of things that weren't true. Like me, I didn't inherit my dad's liquor store. I built my dad's store for him. There were some things that really like trigger me. That one always hurts because I think I did one of the most noble acts a human with talent can do. I knew at 17 that I was a guy. And I decided consciously that I loved my parents so much that I was gonna dedicate a decade of my youth, prime years. 20 to 30 is, you got time, you got energy, I gave 10 of my greatest years. They're not my wisdom years, but they're my years. And I gave them to my parents. Never made over 120,000 a year, built a business from 3 to 65 million, left with nothing. Started VaynerMedia in Mike Lazaro's conference room at Buddy Media at 34 years old because I had no money. I'm proud of that. So when you can imagine when somebody writes a hit piece and says, you can't listen to this guy, he inherited his dad's liquor store, that hurts.
When you say hurts, what are the symptoms of that hurt for you?
Oh, you're gonna love this, because this is why it's not sustainable. I'm neutral at all times. Gary, you're the GOAT, thank you. Gary, you're I understand. Why does it hurt? I know that there is millions of 15 to 25-year-olds, 30 to 60-year-olds, 61 to 90-year-olds right now who've decided not to consume my message because one person who's hurting decided to build themselves up by targeting me because of the platform I'm on, and that disappoints me more than anything. As someone who is deeply, deeply, deeply driven by leaving the impact at the highest levels that he is capable of out of the guilt and gratitude of winning the DNA and environment game, the elimination of opportunity to help make the world more about love in lieu of someone reinforcing their beliefs of living the world of dark and hate is crushing for me philosophically. But the reason it's not sustained, Steve, is my number one fan on earth, outside of my family, whoever that is, Sally Pants McGee, and my number one person that hates me the most, thinks that the whole thing is the worst, can't wait till I die. I equally feel the same about it. 0.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is stop beating yourself up.
How do you prevent yourself from, like getting burnt out from it all? What do you do to kind of like keep the pace with all this stuff?
I love myself. Let me explain. I don't judge myself when I don't feel like I've got it all grasped. You're absolutely right. This is moving super fast. It's okay to not be great at knowing how Snapchat works. It's all right if you've never downloaded Pinterest. It's cool if you have no clue what the fuck's going on LinkedIn. You just keep trying every day. I think the biggest reason I don't get burnt out is because I don't beat myself up. By far, one of the biggest issues that so many people have, young, old, left, right, black, white, is people beat themselves up. And by the way, do not get it twisted. I'm not talking about not holding yourself up to a standard, but it's just a little patience. Mm-hmm. Back to the earlier question, I've been doing this every day for 17 years. I'm good at it now. Some of you have never thought about these platforms in this context prior to when you started here. You were using it to hook up. So like, I just have empathy for yourself.
Right.
That's how you try. And you realize, like, and I think you sense it here, like we have ambition, we're building a honey empire, but like, we're gonna give you a lot of time. As long as you're trying,
Rule number 6 is be detached.
How do you stay motivated in a landscape that's yelling at you and pointing fingers? How do you get up every morning and kind of get back on the horse?
because I have no attachment to the validation and or the tearing down. See, one of the great things when you don't believe in your own headlines is you don't believe in the trolling either. When you are actually in a state of doing things for yourself and what makes you happy, not the addiction of the validation of the likes or the treachery of being torn down, you're in a much better place. I'm motivated because I'm detached.
All right, a stoic line to end on. I don't know if I believe you that you're detached.
Well, I think that's only because you don't know me.
Yeah.
You know, and which I respect. It's one of the reasons I judge no one. I don't know them. It's been the biggest thing of like, to your point, like how does one sustain when there's so much going on? It's, you know, for me, it's that whole validation or detachment. It's kind of like my sports teams. I love the process of a team winning a championship.
Yeah.
But once they do, I'm like out. And so like when the Yankees and the Rangers won their championships, I stopped cheering for them. And I never understood it when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, I like the process. Mm-hmm. You know, like the process is fun for me.
The wins and the losses you need to feel.
Yeah, I like the trying more than like the outcome.
Well,
Rule number 7 is teach fearlessness.
I think the most important thing to teach is the elimination of fear. I think fear is the biggest poison to children. I think parents use fear on children to make them do what they want. And so I do think critical thinking is incredibly important, but I think if you were able to build self-esteem, confidence, and if you're able to have your child not be scared to fail, then you will have a very happy child. You have to understand, life is too complex to think there's a right answer. People think they're gonna make the right decision. You have no idea how it's gonna work out. You just don't know. You really don't know. And so for all of us, whether it's university or having children or moving, once you make a decision, you can't dwell on that decision anymore. You have no idea how that would have changed your life. Everything in your life is different forever. And we should look at it optimistically, not pessimistically.
Rule number 8 is develop your leadership skills.
For me, my employees are my family. I think we have audacity at the ownership level, at the leadership level. The way I think about getting team members on board is by caring more about their needs than mine. The way I do it is through empathy and compassion and putting myself in their shoes and asking why would they want to be on board. I reverse engineer their emotional graph, and then on an individual basis, I try to understand where they are on their journey. Sometimes kids come into my company, and the first time I sit down with them, they say to me, one day I'm gonna run this whole company. And I'm thrilled. I'm like, please, I'm getting old, you know? That same employee 5 years later sometimes walks into my office and says, I need more work-life balance. Because now they fell in love and they're starting a different chapter of their life. And I love that. I don't judge them for not wanting to work 14 hours a day anymore. I respect that that's their interest. I think it's a leader's obligation to reverse engineer the wants and needs of the people on their team, not only philosophically, but in reality on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's a very, very hard thing to do, but I think it's required to build something big. When you have the intent to care, you ask the questions. You know, when people come up with excuses of why they haven't accomplished something, it's often predicated on the fact that they didn't want to know the answer at the time.
Rule number 9 is build your network.
I couldn't recommend all of you becoming friends with all of you more. We're gonna teach you a load. I'm gonna be who I am. But your relationships with each other going through this is everything. All of you are going to be so far ahead in the world of business and marketing because you're coming up Vayner at a time where Vayner's like Apple in 1986. Like, you're on it. You're at Facebook in 2010. You're like at Tesla at 12. Like, you know, those are much bigger companies than we will ever be, but we are disrupting and are historically correct about advertising. There are literally people on this call right now who in 21 years are going to be the CMO of Coca-Cola. Literally. And so, like, what would I tell myself, or what would I be thinking? That I need to make sure that I get everyone's LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, email from this group and go out of my way to be friends with everybody on Slack and create common ground with them around upbringing, interests, like at all costs. At all costs. There's nothing more valuable that will happen at Vayner than you taking advantage of you guys and gals are part of this little micro crew, and that makes you connected in a different way, and that all of you are coming into a company that is going to accelerate your opportunities, whether within it. There are literally people in here that are going to be the bosses of people in here, and by being friends, it's going to be just a much more enjoyable life in 3 years. There's also people here in 19 years who, again, are going to be CMOs of the biggest companies in the world that may help your child get an internship at that like, this is it.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is fight for happiness.
What is your greatest advice for us outside of our careers?
To fight for happiness. People do not fight for happiness enough. People have decided to lean into cynicism, into blame, into envy, into jealousy. People have really, like, the world has done a really good number on the world. Mainstream media, social media, pessimism. Like, people are selling all of you a bunch of bullshit. The world has never been better. The world has never been better. Period. This is the greatest era to ever be alive. I would switch with all of you in 10 seconds. And unfortunately, that's not what people think. So my advice to you is to fight for happiness. Try to understand why I'm telling you that. Go look at facts instead of headlines that are built to scare you.
If someone's never heard the slow down the macro, speed up the micro, what does that mean? Expand that for a second.
Your day-to-day, like, you know, I don't know, like, we're gonna do this together in real time because I like jamming with you. Like you even laughed a little bit. Julian's fooling me around, like something that was like a 5-minute transition. Like, this is my calendar.
Yeah.
Like, it's constant.
Yeah.
And by the way, look at these meetings. Just, what does that say? 11 to 11:05.
5-minute meeting.
11:05 to 11:30. 11:30 to 11:45. 11:45 to 12. 12:05 to 12:15. 12:15 to 12:30. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I did 15 meetings before 1 p.m. today.
Okay, so the reason this
I did 15 meetings. So that's speed up your micro. Your day-to-day, go way faster, be way more efficient. But macro, I'm not in a rush to buy the New York Jets. I love my process. I'm not in a rush to buy a Lambo or a house. Like, everyone needs to really, 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 really speed up their day-to-day, but slow their skis on their big goals. Enjoy the process. Don't rush to get the trophy.
How do you assign value? What is value when it comes to determining that perceived value from a consumer's perspective of any particular piece of IP that you have, whether it's VFriends, whether it's, this NBA All-Star?
It's the only thing I think about, like your Puma socks. My brain goes to, those are 37-cent socks that he paid $9 for because it has 4 letters in the same order with the same logo, and it means something. So, for me, that's just how the entire world works. This is a bottle of water. This was free for 1 trillion years. And then somewhere about 50 years ago, someone's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna sell something that is actually free. And if I can make the brand mean something, people will actually pay a lot of money for something that was free. I think it's the only thing. I think it's how monarchies or capitalism or democracy or communism or dictators work. I think it's how people parent. All I think about is IP. All I think about is comms and marketing and how things work. And then for me, specifically in the journey I'm on, my driver for building out my IP selfishly is about, oh, I think I can build a big business. Selflessly, I think about if I can create 300 characters in a Pokemon Sesame Street Marvel-like world where I can do what I've done for 15 years as Gary Vee and pushed kindness, patience, empathy. Well, that's been hard. You know, Gary Vee is a very specific human being who's gonna work for some people and is not gonna work for others. But this patient panda might be more effective of teaching people patience than me. And so for me, I'm really enjoying the building out of the intellectual property, and I want to really leave a legacy. I'm very, very affected as I become more educated on how Jim Henson saw the world.
How do you prioritize your time? How do you make decisions on you just gave us a little bit of a sense of older versus younger, but how do you just with 1,000 priorities in a day say this is what I'm going to focus on now, today, next?
I have 3 full-time admins and 2 chiefs of staff. We have a 1-hour meeting every Thursday to look at the week ahead. We analyze every minute on the minute. The meeting I had right before here was a 15-minute meeting. The meeting before that was a 15-minute meeting. I get a lot done because I believe in 15s. I think everybody in here has 1-hour meetings that are actually 7-minute meetings. You multiply that times 183 meetings a year, you can imagine what ends up happening with efficiency. I go with my intuition and my gut. I've got a ton of things going on. I have 8 different companies inside of VaynerX, the holding company, and I'm the active CEO of VaynerMedia. So I'm a chairman of 7 other companies within that holding co. I have VFriends, which is taking up an enormous amount of time. I have my family, my personal life. I have my nonprofits. I have Gary Vee, the brand. I have tons of investments. I have a fund. I have a lot going on. But the real answer, and this is gonna be a bomb, the real answer is I don't judge myself when the last week wasn't as efficient as it could have been. The number one reason that people struggle with time management is because they beat themselves up for not having a productive week, day, or year, and they don't realize that it's just subjective and they're grading their own homework and they're f***ing themselves up.
Do you have any advice of like how to like start conversations, like how to like just get better at like making connections and networking?
The only way to get better at networking is realizing why you're scared of people's judgment.
It's something I deal with like my whole life.
It's not about a technique, it's why do you actually worry that if Dustin, you come up to him and want to network with him and he's like, no, why does that make you feel bad? You need to figure that out.
Exactly, that's what I
Let me give you the secret. It doesn't matter. If you can remember that moment and realize all of them are Dustin, it's not like you really, it's like don't value someone's opinion about you more than the value that you put on yourself about you.
I know, I got to do that.
So start practicing. What happens next? You practice. You like really practice. You just go and actually network.
And just do it.
And like feel the pain and the awkwardness until it's gone. Nobody here today in 2023 is confused that human beings' attention sits on social media at scale. Everybody here has an opinion of that. Unfortunately, many people here deploy their human opinion, their feelings about TikTok in China, or Facebook and Zucks, or that their kids are on it too long. You deploy your subjective human opinion as a human on it when thinking about your actual business. The consumer you're trying to reach to sell your service to is really not super interested on your hot take of what 13-year-olds are doing on TikTok. They're not super intrigued by how much you like or dislike Facebook. They just live their life, see things, and spend their money. I want every person in this room after this conference to go home tomorrow and post somewhere between 8 and 15 pieces of content on LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, TikTok, and I want you to do it every day. I know that nobody wants to do that. I know this because I watch the world. This is clear. What I just said is 100%. It's non-debatable fact that the people that are outflanking in every micro segment of every business in the output of creative, and of course the quality matters. Of course the quality of what comes out of your mouth is a variable of your success. But before you even start the debate of what do you say, or what are you talking about, or how are you doing this, the data is undeniable that the companies and humans in service businesses that are outposting its competitive set are picking up market share by the simple fact of there's just too much attention of society on these 7 to 10 platforms. There are people in this room that will do one video of here's a fun fact of the opportunities in mortgages, post that on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and with no followers. You do not have an account yet, and it's your 7th video, and one video like that may go viral and lead to more leads for you in a 24-hour window than you would get the entire year. That happens every day. Yet, we continue to choose not to look. There's way too much deciding on subjective opinion in this room, and it's not about this room, it's the whole world. The reason I can say it is I see the data across the whole world. This is what's happening. This is why there's a supply and demand opportunity. Life is very simple. It's supply and demand. It's actually shockingly simple. If you understand supply and demand in every aspect about everything about life, you will start to understand and make decisions. Very simply, the thing that I want to compel this room to is to understand the single biggest opportunity of under supply, not enough posts against demand, too much consumption, is leading to remarkable opportunity. So it's just classic, right? Like every single person here knows how to get into better shape. Everyone. There's not a person in this room that does not understand that it is a combination of eating better and going to the gym. Yet, I think we can all agree, not everyone in this room is doing that. I struggled with that for 40 years. 38 years I never wanted to do either, and then I just one day on a plane decided this is not gonna end up well, and I started working on it. 9 years later, 8 years later, I still never want to do it a single day. I literally hired a full-time human being to be my babysitter and travel. I'm being dead serious. I got to the financial level where I finally figured it out. I'm very good at being accountable to others. Just because it comes natural to me to do 10 posts a day, I know that for 80% of this room, it does not. But just like the journey I went on, which is I didn't want to die at 65. I thought it would be better to live longer. I like it. I'm doing something every day for 9 straight years that I genuinely hate. And so I don't care how much you hate social media. I don't care that you've decided it's ruined the world and the kids and the this and the that and I genuinely don't care. Because your customer doesn't care. It doesn't care what you think of it. I just desperately need you to stop losing market share. Because if you're not gonna do it, somebody else is, and those referrals are great, and they'll keep you going, but I don't have to explain to anybody here that if you don't get more, it's eventually gonna run out.
What are the soft skills that make for a great founder? What role has kindness played in building your success, Gary?
Kindness is the foundation to retention. Retention is how you build a real company, number one. I think accountability is number one. I am baffled by leaders' ability to blame everybody but themselves. If you're a leader by nature, everything is your fault. And so I take accountability in everything that's happened in my personal life and my professional life and everything in between. And so it doesn't mean, I have plenty of feelings in my personal and professional life of like what the other parties had to do. But I don't spend time on blame or dwelling. The number one characteristic of a winner leader is accountability. I think compassion and empathy is the next. The reason I hold no grudges is I understand why. And so I think compassion and empathy mixed in with accountability. I think competitiveness is a major factor. I think the world has demonized competition in the last 30 years in a very unfortunate way. I think 8th place trophies actually lead to a lot of anxiety and depression with children, now 20 and 30-year-olds, not the reverse. Merit matters, and so I think competitiveness matters, tenacity, ambition. These are kind of the hard soft skills, and then on the soft skills, it's definitely kindness, empathy, caring, being sweet, approachable. Like, I just don't understand how people don't know that likability is a direct correlation to something that's healthy.
How do you succeed in doing videos on things you know are passionate if somebody else is already in and succeeding at it?
Nobody else's winning is coming out of yours. If that was true, the game was over a long time ago.
That's right.
Why did LeBron try to pass Kareem?
Oh, it's good.
Kareem was the all-time leading scorer.
Yeah.
Like, why is Kevin Hart doing that? Eddie Murphy did that already, but why did Eddie Murphy do that? Richard Pryor already did that. What are we talking about here? Excuses like that, and notice the word I used. Excuses like that are just people that are scared to do the thing and fail on merit. They feel better that somebody already took it. The world is abundant. If you're good enough, no matter how much is already taken, you can get yours too. I wasn't the first person to talk about kindness. I wasn't the first person to talk about work. I wasn't the first person to talk about technology. That is a ludicrous point of view, and I come from a place of compassion when I use that statement. That person needs to realize that's a subconscious excuse to not do. And it's better to blame that, oh, they didn't get lucky, somebody already did it, versus them having to put in the work to do it. Every second you spend thinking about what somebody else has is taking away from time that you could create something for yourself.
Yeah.
You're losing. You're losing because you're laying in your bed looking at somebody's glamorous photoshopped picture of them doing something cool, and you're envious and you're jealous and you're impatient, and it's crippling your upside.
Yeah, because that's where I want to be, and I know I'm not there yet.
You haven't done
I know.
So go do that actually gets you there so that you earn it, instead of like you dwelling that you're not there and hoping something's gonna happen. I don't know what's going through your mind. You've got to deploy patience, and you've got to love the process. I'm addicted to the process of the battle scars, the setbacks, the lack of, Taylor, I gave up my entire 20s. All of them. Imagine not doing anything fun or going anywhere for the next 8 years, including Saturday and Sunday. That's what I did from 22 to 30. Every day I spent 15 hours a day in a liquor store, thought about a liquor store, built a liquor store, sold wine, spent every day. Like this last weekend, don't lie to me, Taylor, what did you do this last weekend? What did you do Friday, Saturday and Sunday? Tell me the truth, don't bullshit me.
Yeah, no bullshit. I'm helping my mom right now on digital media and branding for her company.
Love you.
And so I had a marketing meeting with one of the people doing that.
Love you.
And then I also...
How much time did you have? How much time did you have for yourself on Saturday and Sunday that was not working every minute? Tell me the truth.
A lot.
I know. So that's the punchline, right? Now imagine this. When I tell you this, you spent more downtime on not your career this weekend than I did in my entire 20s combined.
How people were endorsing NFTs that they didn't even experience.
It's crazy.
What is that? So
people
talk a little bit about that.
It's this industry. I'll make a really interesting comp. You brought it up, and I've watched this industry from afar for a long time. I think the reason the industry is doing better, macro, is we've become less transactional. People are protecting their brand. They don't need the brand in every category to maximize the P&L. They realize if they make some sort of silly thing for short-term money, it might hurt their overall thing. That's how I've always thought. I've been very patient. I never do anything that can tarnish me. I really work on that. I think it's important. I just don't know how any level of money is worth you not putting your head on a pillow at night. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not how I see the world. And so I focus on that. I also think the world is abundant. I also am incredibly patient. I spent the first 12 years of my career building my dad's business for him. I started my company at 34 years old in another company's conference room because we had no money. I was 34 before I ever made $100,000 a year. You can accomplish a lot. Everyone's so anxious. Everyone wants it so fast. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. They want to make it now so they can show or enjoy. To me, enjoy the process of your career, not the money you make from your career so you can then enjoy it. And that's the game I play.
How do you find your passion in life, and what's your advice for people to find it? Passion, mission in life?
So I think people struggle with passion because they overthink the financial part of it. So a lot of people's passion is cooking or video games or gardening or watching movies. But their brain says, I can't build a business watching movies.
Oh, so you think it's always end up building a business?
Yeah, because when people ask me, Gary, what's my passion? They're really asking me, Gary, what can I make money on that I also like? And I say that what happens is people over-rationalize the business part, but if you actually focus on the passion part for real, I love Star Wars, I love Legos, I love skateboarding, that then when you take a step back with content and everything now, podcasts, TikTok, blogs, you can make anything a business, anything.
But you need to have a thing which you like to do, right?
I believe that the reason you have to focus on your passion is if you love it, it doesn't feel like work. And if it doesn't feel like work, you can do it 10, 12 hours a day, which is what's required to give a business by yourself a chance to succeed. You can't 9 to 5 yourself to a 1% life. I don't think about things about tomorrow. I keep an eye on things about tomorrow. I don't focus on yesterday. I try to change a lot of my friends and contemporaries and clients to get away of being religious about yesterday. So I'm a champion of today, and metaverse is not here today in my opinion, but I'm keeping a heavy eye on it. No different back to the transition of AI. I looked at so many AI startups 3, 4, 5 years ago, and almost all of them were API or fake AI. They weren't AI. Now, are you kidding me with this Jasper this and your Chat GPT this, and then today I saw a headline about Google Music something that, like, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, are we here. And now this becomes a conversation about today. So I think AI is gonna have a very nice rise here. It's gonna be interesting to watch. I consider it part of Web3 in some ways. You know, I think all these new technologies will probably get categorized that way, and I'm excited about it. But as far as the metaverse, I really struggle seeing it not being a big part of life. I just don't know if that's 7 years from now, 3 or 22. So I'm always keeping a side eye on it while I focus on what to execute on today.
If you could give one piece of advice as far as a step in the right direction for people that are ready to stop working and get into entrepreneurship, where do you start?
You start by first being self-aware. A lot of people actually aren't gonna be good at entrepreneurship. They just might need a job that they like more. Almost nobody likes their job. The stunning majority are dislike or at best, neutral about it. They're not on fire. They're not waking up on Monday like, let's go. And so to me, LinkedIn, no different than you listening to one piece of content from me that changed the course for you because you figured out this. For somebody right now who's watching this, if they realize that they can post things about their opinions, their observations, and their expertise about what they do for a living. If you're a 5-year lawyer and you say, something I'm seeing in law around IP law, and you write 4 sentences, you make a video, it depends on how you communicate, written word or video. One piece of content on LinkedIn where you have no followers right now can change the course of your life because now you have inbound people offering you jobs instead of you sitting and dwelling about hating your job. And after 6 months to a year, there's a piece of content that's gonna come out that's gonna lead to the next job opportunity. That's what I think people should do. I would tell you that I'm a extremely spiritual person because I'm completely confused by our lack of knowledge around intuition. Just that subject matter has me off the reservation. You know, I'm also spiritual in the way that I don't like to judge people's spirituality. Meaning, I, for example, do not have crystals in my house. But I love that people have crystals in their house because it works for them. I was born in the Soviet Union where religion was banned for 70 years. So for 3 generations of my family, religion was not practiced. So I am not deeply religious, yet I love that religion is so important for so many. My ultimate spirituality is grounded in my deep, deep love of my fellow man and woman, and that's what I like it for. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for 20 bucks a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Alex Hormozi, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Our deal team talks to hundreds of prospective businesses every single month. Now, they've implemented 2 AI tools to replace themselves. First, to increase show-up rates for meetings, we now send personalized videos of me using entirely AI.
Hey, Jordan. Hey.